Hello everyone, welcome back to another Botball breakdown. Today we're going to be looking at Incredibots vs. Dead Robot Society from 2019. This was their regionals. Great runs. We're going to be mainly focusing for today on the Dead Robot Society side of the table, so I might zoom in on that in a second here. We're going to be taking a look at the Incredibots side as well, but for the most part we're going to be looking over here today. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and get started. So because it's much easier to unpack, I'm going to just zoom in on the Incredibots side here, and we're going to take a look at what happens there, and then we'll switch over to the Dead Robot Society side and look at what's going on over there. Alright, so let's get started.
Normally they're down a
So
little bit lower,
we missed the very opening of this run here, but you'll see this year, like we've talked about runs on this board before, but you're allowed to set pieces on this line however you wanted, and so the ambulance they set up in a very specific spot. This ambulance actually, if you were to look at a cross section of it, has a little like the wheels come down, and that's what it looks like on the bottom of it, like that. And so there's this tiny little gap between the ambulance and the floor. So I think I can't actually see perfectly what they did here, but I'm thinking they slid a little metal bar up underneath that to make that work how they wanted it to.
Normally they're down a little bit.
Okay, I think that's what they did. That looks like either a piece of foam board or paper right there, or there's some little metal pieces on either side that is picking up the ambulances on both ends. I think that actually might be what it is. But either way, they're getting up underneath that thing and they're lifting it. That way they don't have to close around it and can conserve servos and motors for other more important operations. But they turn here,
and they're able to grab
we're looking at this robot up here. You'll see they drive forward and they grab that yellow key.
Right there.
Now they're going to back up
Switching
here.
over to table 3. The Dead Robot Society tried to grab the...
him down because... And look, you'll see... So, we've seen that they use this ambulance and they are conserving servos, but they have turned immediately to this yellow cube here. And what they are doing, they turn to this yellow cube. And they're going to lower a small claw. I think this is 2 servos maybe, so there's one dropping it down, and another closing down on the yellow, right? So they lift that up, and they have the fighter in their grasp. And then what they're going to do is they're going to back up over this line. Something you'll notice that a lot of teams this year did because of those crates, and this is something I suggested that the other team did in the last Botball breakdown, is having a guard around your wheels so that these cubes cannot mess you up is super helpful. So you'll see that they do that. So that way they can just easily push those crates out of the way. And you'll see drastic overturn there, but it doesn't matter because they immediately go into a line follow. Looks like they're going to turn around, and I'm assuming they're scanning buildings here. And so now that they've scanned the building, they know where to drop the ambulance. So they drop the ambulance there, and it is now in its zone where it needs to be. You'll see they do that effectively right there. Now they're going to... And it looks like that's the end of that robot for this run, because what happens is, it looks like, I think when they were driving back, I think one of their wheels gave out. Yeah, okay. I think they had a motor burnout. Right, yeah. I could be wrong, but that looks like a motor burnout, and Gyro's trying to counteract it. That would be my guess. I could be totally wrong on that. But they have a failure on that part of the robot. But you can see that they were successfully going to get that firefighter to go into that zone right there, where it would actually score a pretty substantial amount of points. Overall, solid run strategy for this specific bot right here that we're looking at. I don't think there's... that looks like a motor failure. Not something that they can prevent. Like, things happen in Botball. Things happen to good teams all the time. But not much from that robot. They have some good line following along this line right here. And you'll see a very good use of using these little metal flippers right here to get up under the ambulance and really conserving servos and motors. Because you only get 5 each of those, and so sometimes those are in short supply. But overall, good robot. Let's look at the other one, because this is the one that really has a cool mechanical design, and I really like this robot because of its simplicity and its effectiveness. So you'll see all they do is they go down this line, and it looks as if though, yeah. So they're just going to drive down that line, and they're going to drive forward. There you go. Okay, that's a pretty gnarly square up right there. Let's see what they do is they're not only checking forwards and backwards, but they're also, I mean, they're not only checking once, but they are like correcting on that line multiple times to make sure they know exactly where they are. So they're kind of moving those motors back again and squaring up again on that line. So after these square ups here, which are very nice, they have to, because they're doing the square ups because they need to precisely turn around right here. Looks like they might drive forward to a bump right there, but then they turn. Something interesting to note, the only servo for this claw is right here at the base. There is no closing contraption for this orange coupler right here that's going to try to lift off. So there is no grabbing motion for that. You'll see what happens here as they lift down. That opening where the tires are is just barely smaller than what the coupler allows, and that allows them. But those Legos have a little bit of flex in them, so they can actually drive onto that. You'll see right here. They drive onto that, and those Legos just flex and pop around that coupler and allow you to just grip tightly on it because the rubber of those wheels. But now that they've secured that pipe, they can back up here, and all they have to do is get back to home base for this run, which is these two horizontal pipes. What they'll do is they're going to, I think what they're doing here, we'll definitely have to talk about that, but with the Create, you can kind of ride along the edge using those bump sensors and kind of slowly curve and bump into the pipe over and over again. So that is a method of checking yourself and your position to know where you are at all times. I haven't used it before, and so I can't really talk about whether it's good or not, but it seems to be working well for them. But it seems like they might square up right there, and all of a sudden, and then they drop the pipe onto this horizontal. They drop the coupler onto this horizontal pipe, which gets them, I believe, 50 or 100 points, something like that. And as long as it's breaking the vertical projection there, it works. So very, very simple robot. It's just one servo, and so with having just good drives, knowing where you are, driving up along this pipe, allowing them to know how to get to this point, squaring up here well, grabbing that without using any servos, and actually playing off the bendability of these Lego pieces, you can get a very simple robot that is going to get what you need done. So I moved on you again, but now let's get into the real meat and potatoes of this match. It's the Dead Robot Society. Dead Robot Society is awesome. They have so many cool robots. They always have very clean robots that get the job done well. Not usually much room for error. But I do think we see a little bit of a misgrab from one of the robots in this run. But just something right off the bat. Keep in mind the effectiveness and the thought that goes behind where you place these pieces on the line is very important. You'll see they put this firefighter and the water pump right next to each other very purposefully, because when they start this run, they can grab both of those together at the same time, and then they can move both of those pieces at the same time to wherever they need to go with very little effort, just moving forward, closing, and they already have them, just because they placed their pieces well on that line. So first off, let's go ahead and zone in and look at the Demobot first. Before we look at the Create, let's look at the Demobot and what it does throughout its run. There's a lot to go through, so I'm not going to look at every single detail. I'm going to try to pick up on some of the more major things that this robot does. But really cool use of things and how you're allowed to place them on the start line. You'll see they drive forward here. They're just getting some more management things out of the way, and they do square up right there. It's very obvious. There's a square up right there on that line. They're going to turn here again. Yep, there's another square up on that line right there. Then wow, that's fast. So they're going to use the line follow down this line and line themselves up perfectly where they need to, and drop directly on that building. I'm sorry. Wait, hold on.
They're down a little bit lower, and they're able to grab the water and put it into the water reclamation unit, which is right there.
So, I've been looking, I paused for a second here, I've been looking for quite a moment, and I realized something about this run that I hadn't noticed earlier. Both robots are using the camera. They need to know which of these buildings is on fire, and they need to know which of these buildings is on fire. But they're only allowed one camera. So, you'll see here, here's the camera. The camera's right here, and the camera is looking directly at this building right here. But the camera is not attached to the demo robot, which is the one that needs the information to act upon it and put all of these in the correct building. So there's two possible scenarios. There's two possible ways that this robot, the Create, is communicating the information that it is receiving to the demo. And I'm trying to figure out which of those it is. I have not yet figured it out. It is either, number one, both wombats are connected to each other through a Wi-Fi signal. It is possible to transmit data wirelessly between the two. It is possible that that's what they're doing. That would be really hard, and I feel like something you wouldn't want to do during a competition run, because that might there might be interference in the connection. Maybe one of the robots is not connected perfectly. That sounds like risky. Dead Robot Society is very capable. It is very possible that's what they're doing. Or, what is the simpler solution, this is what I always have thought would you do, is if you'll look, it is hard to see. I'll let this robot get a little bit closer here. But, and we'll see if we can get a good angle of it. Well, I can't get really good angle. But this right here is a click sensor. And you'll see it, there's the bar of the click sensor. It's coming out right there. I've watched the entire run, and I didn't see the button clicked. I watched the run a couple times, and I did not see that button clicked once. But this run actually starts about 2 seconds after lights on. I'm wondering if possibly, quite possibly, this claw either tapped or did not tap that button. Like, this robot scanned the buildings and then either pressed that lever or did not press that lever before it went up again. So, for instance, if it saw that this was the building that was on fire, right after lights on, this robot moved, clicked that sensor, and then went along its way. If it did not see this yellow mark on this building, it didn't click this button and went along its way. That relays the information necessary for this robot to know whether it needs to put this cube in this building or this building. So that is something really, really cool, either way, by the Dead Robots team. But now you know that is how this robot, either one of those two methods, is how this robot is getting the information it needs. Let's take a moment to admire the speed of this robot. It doesn't pause it stows a little bit where it needs to, and then continues to drive. It's very fast and efficient. You'll see it immediately zooms and cuts those corners that it needs to. You'll see it needs to accurately be along this black line so it can know where it is. So you'll see this robot. You can see the jostle of it back and forth. You'll see that this robot is line following. As you go down this line, you'll see that jostle as it goes back and forth, and then it clicks to that front, and it's immediately going to drop those onto that tower, right like that. And you'll see it put it in the correct tower where it needed to. It's the water and the firefighter on the correct burning building. Now they're going to turn, and they're going to square up right there. They're going to square up right here, and they're going to reach and grab this fire truck. That fire, and then they're going to immediately turn around, square up again, and turn, and put that fire truck in the correct spot. Then they're going to back up and try to line follow down this line to grab that pipe, but Incredibots already grabbed it, and so they don't have access to that anymore. But they will square up, and they're going to, actually, I believe, nope, they're just going to straight line, because they have gyro, but we'll see how they correct themselves. They do square up. You'll see they have a nice long square up into that pipe right there before they drive. Perfect example of the XYR system. They squared up here, they've squared up here, and so they know where they are perfectly, and they can line that that pipe up every single time. Now they're going to pause for a moment before they move and come grab the other pipe, because this is mirrored. There's another pipe sitting right here. They do successfully grab this one because the Incredibots did not get a hold of that one, and they're going to square up there again. You'll see it, and they're going to do the same exact thing. You'll see they square up there, and they're going to immediately put on that. A little thing to talk about. That is something that they did for efficiency's sake. You'll see that there is two sides to this this bar that comes up right here. There's this side, and it's like a T. Most teams would assume, and their original thought process would be, oh, one of those couplers goes on this side, and one of those couplers goes on this side. Well, Dead Robot Societies can very easily think outside the box, and they didn't have this this notion that this is what they needed to do immediately. So they thought, why don't we just put them both on this side? Right? Because what that allows them to do is, you'll see. Let's go ahead and look at the. So there's no coupler. Let's go ahead and look at their code for both sequences of that coupler. Alright, so let's look at it. They're driving in, and we're going to start initializing that sequence, basically. We're going to hit that sequence part, starting now. So you'll see they back up, they square up into that pipe, they drive forward, they turn, square up into that as well. Then they have a nice sequence that turns and slides the coupler on. Right? Just like that. Now, let's move forward to the second coupler. You'll see, starting here, they back up, they drive, they turn, square up. Let's see. Same exact code. I can guarantee you that for efficiency's sake, they just copy and pasted the code. Why write a whole nother section of code to put one coupler on this side and another one on this side, when you could just copy and paste the same chunk of code to get both of them on the same side? There's room. What matters if they're on the same side? So that's just some little efficient thing that they do that you might not originally think about doing, and you'd think, oh, I need to have one over here and I need to have one over here. No, just copy and paste the same code. But this is a really cool robot. The movement, especially down on this end, how efficient and clean it is by just moving along and really, really using square-ups through these three lines right here, paired with the line follow here, really gets that nice XYR kind of method that I'm talking about. So in total, this is a very efficient robot. I believe it pretty much uses all 2 minutes that it's given to make this awesome run that has diversified points and is fairly consistent. I haven't seen this bot completely messed up before. Great robot. Let's go ahead and look back at the other robot from Dead Robot Society. So, assuming the first thing this robot does is it uses this camera, reads this building, like I said earlier, and somehow relays that information to the other robot. We've already got that out of the way. But what else does it do? Well, it immediately is going to unfold itself like it needs to get out of that start box. And is going to, you'll see because they only turn a little bit, because what they're doing is they're using this camera and they are scanning. With this camera, they're scanning all 3 buildings at the same time. They need to see which one of these 3 buildings has the yellow dot. Because there's also, now you'll see there's one right there for this side, but there's the yellow dot. The yellow dot is going to be there on this side for them as well, so they do have a visual on that, and they can see that with their robot. They get a nice visual on that, and they basically know, okay, now I know which tower is which. I can make the rest of my run. I know what I need to do. Because also, that tells them which building Bot Guy is on. That's important as well. Actually, does it tell them what building Bot Guy is on? They know which one the burning building is on. Let's go ahead and look forward here and see how they figure out where Bot Guy is. Okay, so the way this board works, I've been sitting here trying to figure out how they know which building Bot Guy is on. Right here, and then also you can't see it, but there's a blue little water reclamation unit right here. It would be kind of like this, but that's not visible right now because of the angle we have, but there is one of those right here out of angle. I was thinking, well, how do they know which one Bot Guy is? They don't. They're just going to, they know because this building's on fire, there's nothing up there, so they're just going to grab blindly on this building and this building, and it doesn't matter which order those are in, they're going to get both of them. Now obviously they had a bad grab. I might not have showed that clearly, but they drive forward and they have a bad grab on Bot Guy, but sometimes that's not, it's not, you know, I'm sure they have it worked out. I've seen this robot work many times. So they drop either Bot Guy or the water reclamation unit, and then just because they know, well, we have to grab on the other 2, I guess. So you'll see they go grab, there's your water reclamation unit, you can see it there. Now they turn back and drop that into the star box as well. And that is successful. That's a successful point marker for them right there. Also, something I talked about last time is you see this the bottom of this robot is covered in that foam board. That's to make sure that these foam cubes don't get underneath it. So they've just sticky dotted a large piece of foam board up on their Roomba to make sure none of those foam pieces can get up under it and pop it up and ruin their run. But now, and they've been using accurate square ups. They've squared up on this part of the line multiple times. They know what they're doing. Now they're going to square up on this back pipe right here, and they're going to square up right there, as you'll see. And they're going to square up again right there, just making sure they know exactly where they are. And then they're going to bring this around and connect those electrical lines. And this is a very efficient way to connect those electrical lines. I love watching it. It's just you line up on the center, and this contraption can lift both sides. But now they're not quite done yet. They know which one building is on fire, so also you'll see that there's a nice, fast slam to this pipe and some square ups there, so they know exactly where they are. They're going to come down, they're going to grab this blue cube, and then square up again into that pipe. They're going to square up right here, like so, and then they're going to turn. They already know which building they need to go to, so they're just going to drive as far as they need to, and then they are going to turn and put this water on top of the correct building. Fantastic run by both teams here. That obviously both had some failures, but that's okay. The whole point of Botball is not being perfect. It's about minimizing the risk and what happens when failures occur, and can we deal with that. Yet again, you'll see good teams use square-ups and line follow whenever they can. You'll see some good engineering in these runs, using that foam board to make sure those foam pieces get out of the way. Effectively communicating between two robots. That's a really cool thing that Dead Robot Society did. They have communicated information between the two robots, which you do not see often. But I think they've done that with that click sensor up here. That is my leading theory of what happened, especially because if you'll see, we have some flat pieces out to the side of this claw that don't seem to have much effect. So that might be the panel that was clicked down on that click sensor. But you'll see, very efficient run. And a lot of these runs, especially a team like Dead Robot Society, they have diversified points, right? This is very important. Their run is not just grabbing all the firefighters and sticking every single one of them up here inside this zone. It's not just connecting the electrical lines. It's not just grabbing all of the meeples and dumping them in here. They are diversifying their points by touching as many things on the board as possible. You'll see this robot not only comes over and puts the firefighter and the water palm up on top of the tower and puts the fire truck in the bottom, they also get both of these pipes and put them on. So diversifying the points, so if something goes wrong, other things are still working. This robot grabs Bot Guy, the water transport, and this other blue cube, moves those, and it connects these electrical lines. So diversifying those points as much as possible is really making these runs solid and consistent. Same thing with the other team. They have multiple pieces that they're getting over here in these two zones, so that's really helping them there. Overall, great runs. I think there's some good things to take away. I'm adding commentary, but honestly, just seeing these runs and gaining the experience from them and knowing what's out there is half of what this is about, and just showing these teams what they really can accomplish and how to do it well and in the most effective way possible. I hope this helped. If you have any comments, concerns, feedback, I'd love to hear it. This is a fun one. I love Dead Robot Society, and a lot of the robots, they're super cool. They always come out with some really, really interesting stuff that's good to look at. Incredibots is always a great competitor to watch as well. They're always looking at something that's in an unusual way. But thank you once again for watching. If you have any feedback, please give it to me in either the official Botball Discord or just in the comments below. Anyways, thank you. Have a good day.